Muscle loss is a regrettable but normal part of the aging process. Keeping up your protein intake and making sure you're doing some sort of strength training can help. But could a supplement called HMB be an easier way to hold on to that muscle? Let's take a closer look at the evidence. Hello, and welcome back to the Nutrition Diva podcast, where we take a closer look at nutrition news, research, and trends so that you can make more informed decisions about what you eat and how you care for your body. I'm Monica Reinagel, and today I want to talk about a supplement called HMB and whether it really can help prevent the muscle loss that often comes with age. As we get older, most of us will experience a gradual decline in muscle mass and strength. And this isn't just a cosmetic issue. It has real implications for our metabolism, for our bone density, for our overall health, and our ability to participate in life. Now, fortunately, we are not completely powerless against this process. Strength training and good nutrition, especially adequate protein, are well-established tools for preserving muscle mass, and they're ones that we've covered in quite a lot of detail in past episodes. But what if there were a pill, or in this case, a powder or a drink, that could make that job easier? That is the promise behind HMB, a compound that's often marketed to aging adults as a way to stay strong without necessarily hitting the gym. And so in this episode, I want to take a look at what HMB is, what the research says about its effectiveness, and who, if anyone, might benefit from using it. So this tendency to lose muscle mass and strength as we age is known as age-related sarcopenia. And this process can actually start as early as our mid to late 30s, although the changes are usually too subtle to notice at first. But after the age of 50 or so, muscle loss really begins to accelerate, and it's not uncommon to lose up to 10% of your lean body mass with every passing decade. So if we are fortunate enough to reach our 80s, we might have only half as much muscle as we did at age 30. But here's something that often gets overlooked. We lose strength even more rapidly than we lose muscle mass, 2 to 5 times faster. So strength is the ability of our muscles to generate force. And while the size or the mass of the muscle is a big part of that, other factors also contribute, including neuromuscular coordination and the quality of the muscle tissue itself and the integrity of the connective tissue that links the muscles to the bones. So this is not just about shrinking biceps. It's about declining function and reduced resilience and an increased risk of injury. And that is why losing muscle as we age is such a concern. But why? Why does this happen? Well, one factor is hormonal shifts. As we age, the levels of anabolic hormones, so that's things like testosterone and growth hormone, they decline, and that reduces the signals that promote muscle building and repair. Another big factor is lifestyle. Most people become less physically active as they age. And muscle is very much a use it or lose it kind of tissue, so without regular stimulation, it gradually atrophies. And then there's the phenomenon of anabolic resistance, where our bodies become less responsive to the effects of protein on muscle growth. And that means we may need a bit more protein to get the same result. Now, I'm not going to belabor the protein issue because this is something we've talked about a lot, but if you've missed those episodes or you'd like to review them, I will include a link to a playlist of some of those episodes in the show notes for today's show. But beyond protein and strength training, is there anything else we can do? Perhaps you've seen ads for something called HMB. So it's sold as a standalone supplement, and it's also used to sort of zhuzh up nutrition drinks that are pitched at seniors as a way to stave off this age-related sarcopenia that we've been talking about. HMB stands for beta-hydroxy-beta-methylbutyrate. And your body creates HMB when it breaks down the amino acid leucine, which is found in protein-rich foods like meat, dairy, and eggs. Now, if leucine is ringing a bell, you may recall that we were talking about it just a couple of episodes ago in relation to its role in triggering muscle protein synthesis, as well as satiety. But because leucine is known to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, and because HMB is one of its metabolites, researchers have long been interested in whether supplementing with HMB could help reduce muscle breakdown or even support muscle growth, especially in people at risk of muscle loss due to aging or inactivity or illness. So, what have they learned? Well, if you have been listening to this podcast since 2012, and I know that there are a bunch of you out there that have, you may remember that I did an episode on HMB back then because Ensure introduced a new muscle health formula featuring AMB, and at that time, I was pretty underwhelmed by the research. But earlier this year, a group of researchers did a meta-analysis of 21 randomized controlled trials that altogether involved nearly 2,000 participants over the age of 50. So it seemed like it might be time to update my assessment. The researchers did find that supplementation with HMB led to small but measurable improvements in both lean mass and also strength, but they emphasized that these effects were stronger when HMB was combined with exercise, particularly in adults over 65. In other words, in order to get the benefit from this supplement, you have to be lifting something heavy. And this was more or less the same conclusion that I reached back in 2012, but it's always good to revisit these things. So try as we might, we have not yet found the nutrient that builds muscle without you having to put in a fair amount of effort. But if you are already committed to strength training and you're looking for just a little extra edge, this supplement is generally safe and well tolerated. Although, it's always a good idea to check with your doctor just to be sure. Now, there are two main forms of HMB on the market. There's HMB-CA, that's a calcium salt, and there's HMB-FA. This is a newer form that may be more quickly absorbed and potentially more effective at raising blood levels of HMB, but we still don't know for sure that will translate into better results. Most of the studies that showed a benefit were using 3 grams of HMB per day, and they were typically splitting that up into 2 or 3 doses over the course of the day. Taking more than 3 grams per day doesn't appear to offer any additional benefit, but you may need to take it for at least 3 months in order to see the benefits. One last thing I want to share with you. Some research suggests that you might get more benefit if you combine HMB with vitamin D. Now, that's a nutrient that you may already be taking because vitamin D deficiency is very common, especially as we get older. And vitamin D is necessary for everything from our bone density to our immune health. And I've noticed that doctors seem to be a lot more likely to test vitamin D levels these days. And pretty much everyone I know, including myself, has been instructed to take it on a daily basis. With all of that said, having reviewed the research on HMB again, I'm still not sure that the potential gains are worth the hassle of taking another supplement, especially one that you have to take multiple times a day. So personally, I'm going to continue to put that energy into making sure that I'm getting a good amount of protein and, equally important, a consistent amount of strength training. But let me know what you decide. You can email me at nutrition@quickanddirtytips.com. Nutrition Diva is a Quick and Dirty Tips podcast. Holly Hutchings is our director of podcasts. Steve Riekeberg is my audio engineer. Morgan Christensen heads up our podcast operations and advertising. Thanks also to Nate Hoops for his support, but most of all, thanks to you for listening. And to find out more about having me present at your workplace or your conference, you can check out my website, wellnessworkshere.com.